Cheers, darling. Thank you for doing this podcast with me.
Thank you for having me. Honored,
Of course.
privileged, happy.
Hey, happy. That's the goal, right?
It is. Now we have a couple swigs of our drinks and we're ready to roll.
We're ready. Welcome back to Femme Fatale Files. Today's episode is an incredibly special one for me because I get to introduce you to someone that I've admired for years, long before I ever had the privilege of knowing her personally, Julie Anderson. Many of you may remember her as a highly sought after top fashion model. I remember seeing her on countless magazine covers and in pictorial spreads that captured not just her immense beauty, but this effortless sensuality and sensitivity that radiated through every image. She wasn't just another pretty face. There was something deeper in her gaze, a vulnerability and strength that elevated her beauty into something almost ethereal. I believe that, heart and soul.
Aww.
When I recently moved to New York City, I had the incredible fortune of being introduced to Julie through a mutual friend, and it was suggested that we collaborate. At the time, both of us were in the midst of what you could call comebacks of sorts. I was rebuilding my photography business after a hiatus in a brand new city, and Julie was returning to modeling after stepping away from the industry for a little while. We decided to do a photo shoot together, and to be honest, I was a little bit intimidated. After all, she's worked with some of the top photographers in fashion, and I was just stepping back into photography myself. But despite the nerves, something magical happened. And that shoot became a turning point not only in our professional lives, but also in helping to form our friendship.
This is true.
It's all true. Julie has this warmth about her that makes you feel like family the moment you meet her, and her daughter is just as lovely. They were both a huge part of me feeling welcomed into this city, and I'm endlessly grateful for that. Beyond her modeling career, I also want to shine a light on something that doesn't get nearly enough attention: her incredible writing. Julie is a powerhouse author and poet. She's the founder of the Feminine Collective, which brings together women's voices in a beautiful, raw, and honest way. Her own poetry is nothing short of spectacular, and she has this unique ability to take you to unexpected places that really speak to the depth of what it means to be a woman. Julie embodies everything I believe a femme fatale truly is. She understands women aren't 100% confident all the time, because honestly, if you're that confident, you're probably a narcissist, not a femme fatale. A femme fatale is someone who works through the complexities of life, someone who is vulnerable, who sometimes questions herself, but ultimately rises with grace, purpose, and beauty. That's what Julie is to me, someone who's navigated the chaos and challenges of life with such incredible strength, and whose beauty radiates from the inside. So it's with immense pride that I introduce Julie Anderson to you all today. Welcome, Julie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and I'm slightly embarrassed.
Did I embarrass you?
Thank you for those beautiful allocates, but you know what? I mean, honestly, I can't accept them all, but thank you.
You're so humble. That's partly one thing I love about you. You're a humble human being, and it's really beautiful to see. But it's all true. People, it's all true.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Your modeling career has been so iconic, and for many, it's how they first came to know you. Could you reflect on your experience as a model and how you've seen the industry evolve over the years?
That's kind of a complicated question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the industry, when I started, I was like a kid. And most girls are kids when they start, let's face it. I came from a family, I was a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yes.
So that's kind of pretty intense. So I wasn't exposed to anything from the world. And somehow or another, there I am thrust in, and I was like, oh yeah, I can go on dates. I'm going out. I'm smoking pot. I'm drinking alcohol. I'm doing it. So I was off the Richter scale. Now, one thing in the business is the fact that the wilder you are, the more you are loved.
Ooh.
So it is very encouraged to be, just embracing life and all of its vices, right? So that was kind of a big deal. But I was very fortunate to be booked by American Vogue. That was my first booking.
That
New
is
York, right at
incredible.
they saw Polaroid, and I was flown in. I mean, I kind of took the route. I went to Chicago, which I know is weird, instead of going to Europe because, I'm from a small town in Florida. So it was kind of like, well, I'll stay in America. So that's the route that I took. I'll never forget this story. When I arrived in New York, I was working with Polly Mellen, the great Polly Mellen. I mean, we should all bow down. Icon. As far as fashion history is concerned, she is, like I said, an icon. Anyway, I showed up and it was a beauty shoot. They took one look at my arms and all the hair on it, and they sent me off to get waxed.
No.
I was so embarrassed, mortified. But I'll also never forget this. I was with that model, Kara Young, who's also very fabulous and who did Vogue covers and stuff like that. I don't know if she remembers this or not, but one of his directions was to pretend like we were lesbians. And I had no idea what a lesbian meant. I like stood there blinking, had no idea. I was like, how old was I? 18.
Oh my gosh.
Really off the farm, like not the farm, but, like, I mean, no offense to anybody, but basically out of a cult, let's face it. And then I did so many great things. I had a child at 19, which kind of, it put a cramp on everything. The beauty of my life was extended. And obviously, I'm very grateful, and it was very, very beautiful and well worth it. But I wasn't able to take advantage of absolutely everything that was at my fingertips.
Yeah.
So that, is kind of like upon reflection, it's like, wow, damn it. But I was one of the first girls to have a child in the industry. It was myself and Stephanie Seymour. Do you remember the Vanity Fair? This is back in the day. Vanity Fair with Demi Moore pregnant on the cover.
Yes.
They got that inspo from me being pregnant in British Vogue, the before and after, shot by Tien.
Do you have that photo still? I need to see it.
I have archives around the world. So I've got some stuck in Lisbon, some stuck in Florida, and some here in the closet. And going through the archives, it's weird. My boyfriend was saying, he goes, you don't understand how lucky you are. You've got a visual diary of your life, which is really great. But going through them, first of all, I have ADHD, so that my patience level is like not even there. So, okay, yeah, fine. Let's put it away now. So
You
maybe
need to hire somebody to catalog your life. Yeah. That's a really important thing that you said, that your career was put on hold from having a child. And that's what a lot of women face in our society. It's like you have to choose one or the other,
Yeah.
But I feel like with modeling, it's even, oh my gosh, like that's even more of a pause in your career because you have to get your whole body back into shape.
Yeah,
How
but
does that even work?
when you're 19, it's easy, girl. Let's face it. Like, bring back in the action.
Oh man, if only we had the wisdom to raise kids then too.
I have a lot of shame, honestly, for a lot of my wrongdoings as a mother back then. I wish I would have known. And now, as I go along, I have flashbacks of stuff, which is very. I guess I have to forgive myself and have grace. But
Oh,
yeah,
your story is my story. I was a
yeah,
teenage mother. And so that's where all of my regret lies. And also the shame that society puts on mothers that are young.
yeah,
They encourage it. But then when you are a teenage mother, oh, do not talk to that girl. She's no good. And so like the most important job you can do in raising a citizen
yeah,
is it's ruined by that shame, I think.
yeah. And now, side note, as we know, the politics right now, what they've done to women's rights, the word criminal doesn't even fit it.
Yeah, that's
I wouldn't change what my choice was,
right.
but I feel that, taken away the choice. And like you said, people are shamed. People are
Yeah.
shamed, and then ultimately the child suffers. So it's not.
Well, if politics were different back then, and even now, it still hasn't changed that much, then we would have had a better shot of being better mothers and raising better children and all of the things. And then being able to jump back into a career, we would have had more choices available to us. So here's to changing that.
No, true. We still don't. I mean, again, I don't want to go into politics, but we do have a woman running for president who, is being judged that she's a stepmom, being judged, did you have your own kids? Did you not have your own kids? And here you are working. I mean, it's bullshit. Let's face it. So yeah, going back to a career. I mean, as mothers, we are the responsible party. No, nothing against those dads out there, and like kudos to those dads that have stepped up to the plate and are actually, and a lot of times dads are the ones that took over. So no offense again to anybody, all due respect. But yeah, I mean, in general, it's all on us.
Yeah.
How do you
I
do
mean,
it?
that's the story of my family too. It was just my grandmother, single mother, my mother, single mother,
Wow.
me, single mother.
Wow.
So I really respond to women who have had to do it on their own, at different times. It's not always being single. Men do help. I don't want to,
Yeah,
disrupt
exactly. Yeah. But,
their part of it.
I mean, they're very important. I wish, obviously, I wish, and you wish too, that there was no pain associated with relationships, no pain associated with the pressures of having a kid, and
Right.
obviously economic, all of it, all of it.
Well, so you did touch on modeling. What were the pains there? I mean, you were so young, and then coming back as a new mother. Do you see anything about that was difficult that maybe has changed today?
Honestly, upon reflection, and even not during it because it was so normalized, but how many positions I was put in uh, that came to fruition or not, that had to do with sexual violation, sexual you know what I'm trying to say? My tongue.
Objectification.
My God, I can't even speak. It's taken me.
Yes, objectification.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crime. It really is a crime. Now, we had the Model Alliance, and I was involved in one of those original lawsuits, getting the girls together. And the stories that they all came out with was just incredible. But I will not say this photographer's name, but he was very, very, very famous. He shot covers of stories every single month, every single month. And I shot with him a lot. And I remember one day we were sitting in the van, and you know how we used to go to get our photographs printed up back in the day.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, come here, Julie, sit down." And he showed me pictures of his penis. And then I remember asking him, it's like, "Hey, how come I don't have the cover? Is it because I haven't slept with you?" And he looked at me and he smiled.
Mhm.
Hmm. So there was a lot of that. And there's a lot of photographers that obviously I will not name, but a lot of agents, some that have gone to prison, some that were found dead in prison,
Wow.
uh, some that should be in prison, photographers that should be in prison. Yeah, and then you've got the associated cast next to it. So you're a young girl and you've got editors and stylists and people that should be of age and maturity to go, you know what? But nobody did that. And I don't know if they do it anymore either, because let's look at it. Let's face it now, modeling industry there still is an industry, but it's barely hanging on. You still have the biggies, let's say, who are still making a lot of money. But for everybody else, the money is gone. But meanwhile, it's all like, Instagram, TikTok fame. And
Yeah.
if you look at it, every single girl and woman that's involved in that, I mean, I don't know, you look back at my past pictures and you'll see a lot of, sexual, like all of that stuff. But again, I was a kid and a lot of these girls are kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of that is the male gaze. And if you're working with a male photographer, and let's say the client needing the images is male, or the investor, whoever's funding it, you're dealing with the male gaze. And the male gaze is all about that sexuality, And I feel like we didn't even know about that until not too long ago, to where now we're recognizing, okay, wait, there's a female gaze that we need to be aware of. And we're just figuring out what the hell that even means, because part of the patriarchy is pleasing the men, and pleasing men is that male gaze. So we have all fallen into that trap, whether you're a supermodel or an everyday woman,
It's true. This is true.
Mhm.
This is true.
So how do you think you have evolved in that? I mean, as a model, because I worked with you, we did the photo shoot together, and I was blown away. And I couldn't help but think that, I mean, aside from the male gaze situation and the objectification, there is still ageism running rampant in this country, in the world, and in the industry for you, I would think, especially. And I think that's such a shame, because I've worked with models before, but you were such a freaking pro that I couldn't believe what I was seeing in front of my eyes. I was blown away. And I thought that had to get better each time you were in front of a camera. And to erase women in front of the camera after a certain age, usually what? After their 20s, maybe even mid 20s, is
Yeah.
such a crime for humanity.
Yeah.
We need to see that. We need to see women reveling in their own confidence and expertise. And that is you. You are amazing.
Thank you. I mean, as you know, and you're included, I've worked with the best of the best. So I think what happens to me is like a second personality. So you step into those shoes and it's somebody else. So there's, I guess, a bit of freedom. I've always liked to make sculptures with the body, like, moving the hands in a certain way and just kind of being very elegant. And then looking down the barrel of the camera lens, that is one of the tricks that everybody should know. When you look into that camera lens, you're looking at somebody. I mean, even if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, I don't know if you want to be more narcissistic about it, but yeah, that's what it is. That it takes me.
So, what I do with my clients, most of my clients have no experience in front of the camera. And that reminds me, I have them pretend that they are spies. So it takes them out of themselves, and I'm like, project those sexy secrets into the camera lens. And usually they'll laugh, which is a great shot in and of itself, but then they bring it. And it's like this energy where they're not thinking about themselves as much anymore. They're creating a fantasy. So I thought that might be what you're doing as well, maybe.
Probably. I was thinking about it the other day. I don't think I worked with like maybe a handful of women photographers. When you're
Really?
that handful. And that was liberating working with you. It was really nice being with the feminine vibe. I mean, you did promote like, wow, that looks really great. That's very sexy. You look really fabulous. But it wasn't sleazeball.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't any of that stuff. So I imagine that the other women that you shoot, they also feel that way. So they are free to release. Maybe it's not even fantasy. Maybe it's just playtime.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did have to think about the male gaze too with my photography when I was doing more exclusive boudoir photography, because I knew that I needed to please the man since the gift was for him. But
Yeah.
I really wanted it to be about her. So it
Yeah.
was like this dance we did together to kind of incorporate both sides of the female and the male gaze, which was fascinating.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's the yin and the yang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch gears into the Feminine Collective that you founded. And, You gave me a copy of volume 1, and oh my gosh, Julie, it's everything I want for women. Women's voices coming together and a celebration of all of our experiences collectively, and not all of them are great experiences, and it seems like kind of a way to work that out together.
Mm.
So I was wondering if you could tell me more about how you founded that. How did you come up with this amazing idea of bringing women's voices together?
Well, this is a deep one. So in my writings, you will see that I expose that I've been diagnosed with major depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, and I grappled with that a lot. So I've moved around the world. I've lived everywhere, and I found myself in Paris. And I remember sitting in the kitchen and looking for help online. And then I started thinking, I was like, I'm probably not the only one. I know I'm not the only one who feels like shit about themselves, who has like, is probably in a real, effed up situation, all of that stuff. And then I thought, what are our resources? We had none. There was nothing. If you went to the, we're at the grocery store, we're standing there really depressed. Maybe we're being abused at home or whatever. You go to the grocery store, you're standing on the checkout line. You look at the magazines, self, L, all your relationship, blah, blah, blah. And you opened it up and it was just nothing but fluffy bullshit,
Right.
nothing else. So then I thought to myself, well, all the girls that I've met in modeling, this is another little known fact. The majority of us came from crap situations back in our childhood, whether we came from countries that were, just beyond, or we came from abusive families, or we came from, whatever, sexual, whatever it was, all absolute shit. And you can ask anybody, and they most likely will agree with me. I would say pretty much 99.9%, yet again, came from that. And then, so I thought about my friends and I thought about them, and where they ended up. So because I was starting to reach out to people, not necessarily saying, listen, I'm in dire straits, but okay, what's going on? You need your community. And when you're in a relationship like that, or you're in a situation like that, you become very isolated. Right. So I guess that was part of it. I guess it was like a moment of courage. Anyway, so I thought of these women and I thought of where they ended up. And I thought, geez, if I could get all these girls together and, they could share their experiences, or, not necessarily like mental health or relationships, but, whatever it was, aging or, how I found my self-esteem after I gained 20 pounds, silly stuff like that. And the deep stuff. So I remember chewing that around. And then I was at my parents' house in the living room and it was August 13th, 2014. Right. Yeah. So I said, I'm going to call it Feminine Collective because I figured all of us could get together and our information and our ideas could help others. And then I started thinking about it and it was like, well, geez, there's the sacred feminine, which is the energy that basically we all are under. So whether we accept it or not, that is right.
I
So,
love that.
so anyway, so what it became or what it has become is like an underground literary, I'll say sensation. So I have people that actually send me their work that are doctors, that have PhDs, that are professors, that are authors, that are well known, that are, people that have gone from prestigious colleges or come in from that. You got Princeton, Harvard, all of those things, coming in and chiming in. And oh my gosh, I'm so honored that, that you're even going to see my work. And I'm sitting there going, they have no idea who I am. They have no idea that I'm a kid from a Jehovah's Witness background that came from a small town in Florida, and I'm like scared shitless most of my life. But they've really found themselves in proper company, good company, because it has become a collective of extremely brave people.
Mm-hmm.
At lunch yesterday with somebody who wrote for me, and she ended up not getting a job because the company looked into her and they saw her stories for me. And she was like, she really exposed, talk about being brave. And she was like, you know what? F you. I'm proud of what I did. You know what? If it helps somebody, so be it. You can pick it. So, I have stories like that. Now, I will have some people that will write in years later and they'll say, Julie, what I wrote for you has caused me issue. Can you make it anonymous, or can you take it down? And I have total respect for that. So all the writers that work with me, they own their work. I'm not sitting there going, yeah, you publish it with me, I'm not going to,
Right.
No, they own their work. And the other thing I did at one point, I did have advertising on it. I make no money off of it, like literally not a dime. But I did have the advertising on it, and I felt that the advertisements were like the world that we are used to. You're reading something really deep, and then it's like, Apple new iPhone, or go out and buy the face cream because your neck's wrinkling, and it really destroyed the whole vibe of it.
Yeah.
So maybe one day if I could find somebody that could help me write a grant, that would be cool.
You know what? I think you need a podcast. I think you need a podcast, and all of the writers can get on there and talk about, the new stories, the old stories, because then there's a better way to advertise. I think people are already like invested in listening. And anyway, it's just another way to amplify these voices that you're already elevating. And yeah, I just want to see that everywhere. There's got to be a way to monetize it, though. There just has to be.
It would be nice. You know why it would be nice? Because it deserves a fleet of people. It is underground, which I'm very proud of, because I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And people that find me again, they're like, whoa. But yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to, because I can't do it all myself.
No,
I can't, unless I was left alone and I didn't have to go out into the real world. That's nice.
Yeah, well, let's make this happen. And do you mind if I share one of my favorite essays? I'm not going to read the whole thing, and this one's a little bit humorous, but also just endearing and a little traumatic, because we all have vaginas that have been through all kinds of different things. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You know what? I write in, it's like another person taking over. So honestly, frankly, I never look back at my work.
Do you mind if I bring it to light right now?
I might have to tell you to shut up at a certain point, but go for it.
Okay, so I just want to share that this is the book cover, Raw and Unfiltered, Feminine Collective, Volume 1. And there's so many beautiful female voices in this. And I just have to say, side note, I had a friend recently stay with me, and I set up her bed in this office, and her headboard was basically my bookshelf. And the next morning, she's like, I couldn't go to sleep. I was up all night reading from this book, Raw and Unfiltered. So she was just, oh my God, obsessed. And she's a relationship therapist and clinical sexologist.
Oh, really?
So I think it really affected her, like getting to see all of these women's stories. So I want to share from the story Conversations with My Vagina.
Yeah.
So let's see, which one do I want to do? I mean, this one, oh my God. This one, 1989.
Yeah.
Dear Vagina, more propositions are being made. It seems that you are a hot property. I still don't know what you really look like, though. I'm scared to look. Thank goodness you have hair. That helps me deal with you being here. Seriously, it pisses me off that everyone wants to meet you and they could give a shit about me. I am 19 years old now. Don't you think it's time for you to explain your motives? I am frustrated with you. And there's so much in that simple paragraph. It's a short paragraph, but oh my God, like I did
tears in my eyes.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, I mean, when I read that, I was just struck. Just dumbfounded, because I feel like that's the story of so many women, Well, I did a photography project called Bag Ladies, where I put the bag over women's heads and they were naked, because it was like, is this all you want from us? Like, is this it? Because you're hiding all of these wonderful things. And that reminded me of it. But I do have something probably funny to say about the hair comment. Like, let's bring back pubic hair. To me, it's like, I don't know, a pubic mound without hair is like a face without eyebrows. It's just so weird. But also, on a serious note about the hair thing, I think it serves a purpose. It creates friction that helps with women's pleasure when we have the hardest time of achieving pleasure. So I think we need to revisit that idea.
I didn't know that. I didn't even think about that.
Well, I experienced it because I would do the whole prepubescent look whenever it was requested from a partner, but normally I reveled in looking like what I thought was a woman, and like growing up, that's what I saw a woman had. So, groom it and all that. I'm probably giving way too much information about myself, but there you have it. Okay.
Oh my God. It's so funny.
So, oh my gosh, Julie, what was the inspiration for this? Like, you are such an amazing writer. Every woman should read this.
Well,
I know that they will relate to it.
Thank you. Inspiration for it?
I mean, obviously, probably your vagina was the inspiration.
No, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I really don't know. I was in such a dark place, and that work just flowed. So literally, again, another person, literally, it was just came out.
It's so creative.
Maybe the inspiration had to do with the situation that I was in and all the situations that had come up to it. And then it was like, okay, so now here I am in deep shit. And is that the only thing that mattered or matters?
Yeah. It's almost like seeing the whole cycle of womanhood through a single body part. And, I think our hormones play a part in that too, but it's what others do to us through that body part that creates just a powerful statement in that piece. So I encourage people to read that. I just wanted to share. It was just eye-opening to read.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, what role has writing played in your own healing or self-discovery process, especially when it comes to exploring the raw and nuanced aspects of being a woman? Like, has this been like a form of therapy for you that you think has really helped get through things?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a purge. But the thing that helped is the writing community that I created, or that was created because of the energy of the project. So women like you going, wow, you really inspired me. I know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
You really helped me. I know what that's like. And so then that was what was healing, because that was the whole point in the beginning. I can't be the only one. I know, I don't think I'm the only one, but where are they? They're just looking at bullshit, magazines.
Wow.
Where are they?
You were seen, you were heard, and people related to your story and shared their own. That's powerful.
Yeah, it is actually. It is. It is.
I mean, just talking about things has a power of its own, and putting it out there, especially written forms of expression. But wow, what you're saying, that just goes far beyond that. So thank you for sharing it.
I mean, I haven't been really like my friend from the other day who said she was trying to get a job and they came back. And so if that were me and somebody searched me, I might be in like, hot water, but I don't regret it. I don't regret it.
It's your truth. How can we ever regret our truth? To be made to feel shame or sorrow over something that we shared that was true to us that's just awful.
I'm glad you brought the word shame up, because my upbringing was shame. Like that would be the word, capital letters with some neon happening. Shame. Like pretty much every single day. So maybe that is my courageous attribute to it all. Shame. Yeah. Slaying the shame.
Julie's story has been so incredible that we couldn't fit it into one episode. We'll be continuing this conversation in part 2, where we dive deeper into her journey and wisdom. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for joining me in this conversation with the amazing Julie Anderson. Her journey, her wisdom, and her deep authenticity are truly inspiring, and I hope you feel as moved by her story as I do. If you're feeling inspired to step into your own femme fatale power, I would love to work with you. Whether it's through a portrait session or something a bit more daring like boudoir or fine art nudes, you can contact me through my website to start creating something truly special together. And don't forget, if you know a powerful woman in the New York City area who you think embodies the essence of a femme fatale, I'd love to hear from you. This series is all about celebrating women who live life on their own terms, women who navigate the world with strength and grace. So if you have someone in mind, please reach out. Thanks again for listening. And remember, the femme fatale lives inside all of us, waiting to be celebrated.